Welcome to the Deep Dive. You give us the sources, and we, well, with the power of AI, bring you the most important insights.
It's pretty meta when you think about it.
It is, actually. We're using AI to break down content that's often about AI. And actually, you know what? This entire deep dive is AI-powered.
Yeah.
The research, the script, even the voices you're hearing, all created by AI.
That's wild. It's a testament to how far this technology has come.
It really is. But enough about us. Let's dive into the actual news. Today, we're focusing on the top AI developments from February 6th, 2025.
A lot going on in the world of AI today, from ethical debates to market shifts, so let's get right to it.
One of the biggest stories making headlines is Google lifting their ban on using AI for military and surveillance purposes.
Yeah, it's definitely a controversial move. Google's argument is that to stay competitive, they need to be in the military AI market.
Yeah.
And it's a massive market.
How massive?
Estimated to be worth around $1.2 trillion. And Google isn't alone. Meta and Anthropic are also adjusting their policies in this direction.
So it's a huge financial opportunity. But what about the ethical side of things? Using AI for military purposes, I mean, that's a whole other can of worms.
Exactly. That's where it gets really tricky. Critics are worried this could escalate quickly and lead to an AI arms race. You know, autonomous weapon systems, no human oversight, potentially devastating consequences. Like, it's the plot of countless sci-fi movies.
Now it's our reality.
Right. It's pretty wild. And what's fascinating is how different sources are framing this. I was looking at Sinotech analysis, and they argued that it's just the natural progression. Defense contracts have always been a huge part of funding AI research and development.
I can see that point.
Yeah.
But then there's the national security angle, which is a whole other issue.
Yeah. The FT podcast transcript actually highlights this, arguing that countries need to be able to defend themselves, especially as AI is increasingly being weaponized.
Yeah, the classic dilemma. Balancing technological advancement with these huge ethical considerations.
Totally. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But hey, speaking of advancements, let's shift gears and look at China, where a new AI model called DeepSeek is shaking things up.
I've been hearing a lot about that. Chinese tech stocks are surging, and DeepSeek seems to be right at the center of it. What's so special about this model? Why all the excitement?
Well, for one thing, it's open source, which means anyone can use and modify the code.
So no secrets, no proprietary lockdowns.
Exactly. And this has been a major catalyst for innovation. Companies are jumping on this. Alibaba, for instance, has integrated DeepSeek into their cloud computing platform.
And guess what? Their stock is going through the roof.
Their stock price has doubled. And Xiaomi isn't far behind. Their market cap has jumped to over $128 billion.
Wow. That's quite an impact. So DeepSeek is definitely leaving his mark on the Chinese tech scene.
Oh, absolutely. The Hang Seng Tech Index, which tracks the performance of these big Chinese tech companies, has rallied over 10% in just a couple of weeks.
That's insane.
It is. And what's more, it's narrowing the valuation gap between Chinese tech and those U.S. giants, the Magnificent Seven, as they're called.
So companies like Apple, Microsoft, those guys.
Those are the ones. You see, the average price-to-earnings ratio, the PE ratio, it's much lower for Chinese tech companies compared to their U.S. counterparts. The Hang Seng Tech Index has an average PE ratio of 20.5.
Okay. And the Magnificent Seven?
A whopping 41.4.
So is this DeepSeek helping Chinese companies catch up to the Apples and Microsofts of the world?
I'd say it's definitely playing a role. I mean, as David Chow, a strategist at Invesco, put it, Chinese equities, and especially technology companies, are priced at a steep discount compared to their American counterparts. The potential is there.
It sounds like DeepSeek isn't just a Chinese story. It's impacting the global tech world.
Yeah, it really is. The fact that it's open source, that's a game changer. Faster development, wider adoption, potentially lower cost. It's a completely different playing field.
It's amazing to see how one development can have such a ripple effect. So we've got Google diving into military AI, DeepSeek shaking things up in China. What else is grabbing headlines in the AI world today?
Well, this one's a bit of a cautionary tale. Apple's AI-powered notification system, Apple Intelligence, seems to have gotten itself into some trouble.
What happened? Glitches? Malfunctions?
Worse than that, actually. It's been spreading fake news.
Oh, no. Really? That's not good. What kind of false information was it putting out?
Well, there were a few incidents. For example, it prematurely declared a darts player, Luke Littler, the winner of the PDC World Championship.
But wasn't the final still being played?
Exactly. Talk about jumping the gun. And then it falsely claimed that Rafael Nadal, the tennis star, had come out as gay.
That's a pretty serious mistake. Could really hurt someone's reputation.
Totally. And maybe the most alarming incident was a false alert saying that a murder suspect, Luigi Mangione, had shot himself.
Whoa. That's definitely crossing a line.
The BBC was not happy about this and filed a formal complaint. They pointed out how these errors could seriously damage the credibility of news organizations. Imagine a false alert going viral, but with the BBC logo attached to it.
Yikes. Yeah, that's not a good look for anyone.
Oh.
So how's Apple responding to all this?
They've acknowledged the issues and are working on a software update. They say they want to give users more control over the information they receive, be more transparent about how these AI summaries are created.
It's a start, I guess.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder about the broader implications of AI-generated content.
It's definitely a red flag. And we've seen this before with other AI systems, Remember those cases where AI mistook casual phrases for suicide attempts?
Or like Ring camera footage being interpreted as home invasion.
Exactly. It just shows how AI, while amazing, is still in its early stages. We need to be careful, use it responsibly.
Absolutely. So on that note, let's shift gears to something a little more philosophical. A lot of talk lately about whether AI chatbots actually have personalities.
This is where it gets really interesting, right? I mean, some people believe that as these AI models are trained on tons of human data, they're starting to develop personalities that reflect our own.
So like, is my chatbot secretly judging me?
Maybe not judging. But yeah, reflecting certain personality traits based on their programming and the data they've been fed. However, there's also the argument that what we perceive as personality in a chatbot is just a result of how it's designed, It's our own projections more than some inherent quality of the AI.
That makes sense. We're social beings, right?
Mm.
We tend to look for personality and intention everywhere. But is there any evidence to suggest that these AI models might actually have distinct personality traits?
There's some intriguing research, actually. It shows that different AI models can exhibit distinct response patterns. Some might be more agreeable or conscientious, depending on how they were trained. But whether that really qualifies as personality, that's the debate.
This is a fascinating question. What even defines personality in the first place? Is it just about patterns and responses?
Right. A researcher at Carnegie Mellon, Martin Sapp, said it really well. It doesn't matter what the personality of AI is. What does matter is how it interacts with its users and how it's designed to respond.
I like that. Shifting the focus from AI's internal workings to its actual impact on us. Which makes sense because ultimately that's what matters most, right? How this technology is impacting our lives.
Absolutely. And speaking of impact, let's talk about China's decision to investigate Apple's App Store practices.
Oh, yeah. I saw some headlines about that. Something about antitrust concerns.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. It's seen as a direct response to the trade tensions between the U.S. and China, specifically those tariffs the U.S. imposed on Chinese goods.
So it's not just about App Store policies. There's a whole geopolitical angle to this.
Oh, totally. The investigation is going to be looking at Apple's 30% commission on in-app purchases, their restrictions on third-party payment services, and app stores.
Those policies have been criticized for a while, haven't they?
Yeah, globally, actually. But the timing of China's move, it's definitely not a coincidence. It's fascinating how technology and geopolitics are so intertwined now.
Apple's kind of stuck in the middle of it all.
They are, and it's a reminder that these tech companies, they have to navigate a really complex landscape now. Trade disputes, national interests, it all factors in.
Yeah, the stakes are high. And sometimes those moves have ripple effects we don't even anticipate.
Exactly. Like, remember how Developer Tech News was highlighting the impact of those U.S. tariffs? The controversial tariffs have been criticized for penalizing American businesses and consumers rather than their intended foreign targets, they wrote. And they were reporting how economists were warning about the potential for increased costs for U.S. consumers, reduced sales, economic strain. It's a whole domino effect.
Speaking of unexpected consequences, you know what else caught my eye? That research on the indoor training effect in AI.
Oh, that's a good one. It really challenges how we think about training AI. You see, traditionally, the idea has been to make those training simulations as close to the real world as possible.
Right. The more realistic, the better.
Exactly. The thinking was expose the AI to all the complexities and nuances of the real world so it can be better prepared. But this research suggests that that might not always be the best approach.
So are you saying it's better to train AI in a simplified or controlled environment?
That's what they found. AI agents trained in a noise-free environment actually performed better in noisy real-world situations compared to those trained in super realistic simulations.
Isn't that counterintuitive?
Totally. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But the idea is that by training in a controlled setting, the AI masters the fundamentals without all the distractions. And that gives it a more solid foundation to adapt when things get messy in the real world.
It's like building a strong core before you go out and face the unpredictable.
Exactly. Like Serena Bono, a researcher at MIT Media Lab, she put it this way. Think about learning to play tennis. If we initially learn indoors, where the environment is very predictable, we can master the basic techniques more easily. Then, if we move to a noisier environment, like a windy tennis court, we could have a higher probability of playing tennis well than if we started learning in the windy environment.
It makes sense when you think about it that way. Maybe a little indoor training is just what AI needs to thrive out in the wild.
Perhaps. Now, switching gears to another cool development, a new study found that automatic speech recognition, or ASR, is getting really good. Like, really good.
You mean those systems that can understand and transcribe speech?
Yeah, those. For a long time, accurately recognizing speech, especially in noisy situations, has been a challenge. But the new research shows that ASR is reaching human-level accuracy, even with background noise or people wearing masks.
Are you serious? So is this like the end of terrible voice-to-text experiences?
We might be getting close. The study looked at Meta's WAV2Vec 2.0 and OpenAI's Whisper. And get this, OpenAI's Whisper system actually outperformed humans in most of those noisy conditions.
AI is beating humans at their own game now.
It's pretty impressive. But before we declare AI the ultimate speech champion, there's a catch. The study also pointed out that these ASR systems need a massive amount of data to achieve that accuracy. Humans, on the other hand, can learn to understand speech with much less exposure.
So we humans are still more efficient learners, but I'm curious, do humans and AI make different kinds of errors when it comes to speech recognition?
That's another interesting finding. Humans tend to produce grammatically correct sentences, but they might miss some words here and there, especially in noisy situations. ASR systems, though, are more likely to produce grammatically correct sentences that contain incorrect information.
So it's like a trade-off. Humans might miss details but keep the grammar intact, while AI might get the details right but mess up the grammar. Interesting.
Right. One expert, Eleanor Chodroff, a computational linguistics specialist at UZH, said, "This was impressive as the tested sentences were presented out of context, and it was difficult to predict any one word from the preceding words." But she also acknowledged how amazing human learning is, saying, "Humans are capable of matching this performance in just a handful of years."
It's like we each have our strengths and weaknesses. Now, on the topic of learning, there's this new AI model from OpenAI that I wanted to ask you about. It's called O3 Mini, and apparently it's making waves in the realm of reasoning.
This model is super interesting because it's designed specifically for reasoning tasks, which are crucial for more advanced AI applications. And it's already exceeding expectations, outperforming DeepSeek's R1 model, which was previously considered a breakthrough in AI reasoning.
So this little model is a big deal. What kind of tests was it crushing?
Oh, all sorts of things. It aced physics simulations, code generation, even analyzing scientific papers from ArcStuff. And get this, it can generate those intricate Minecraft worlds, create dynamic shaders, design game logic, all with 98% accuracy.
That's a seriously diverse skill set.
And it's also more cost-effective to run than its predecessors. Plus, it has self-correction capabilities, meaning it can identify and correct errors without any help from us humans.
That's pretty incredible. So what does this mean for the AI competition between the U.S. and China? Is O3 Mini giving the U.S. an edge?
It's definitely stirred things up. Sinotech, a major news outlet in China, called it a paradigm shift, and even went as far as to say O3 Mini can think like an engineer.
Those are some bold claims.
They are. The stakes are high in this AI race, that's for sure. We're not just talking about technology anymore, it's about global leadership and influence.
The whole new world. Speaking of competition, I wanted to get your take on Figure AI's decision to go solo in the robotics world.
Ah, yes. Figure AI, the company behind that amazing humanoid robot, Figure 02, they've decided to part ways with OpenAI and develop their own AI tech.
So they're betting on independence. But why split with OpenAI, especially with OpenAI's reputation in AI?
Figure AI believes that to really control the destiny of their robots, they need to own the brain. One of their spokespeople said, "You can't outsource the brain of a robot if you want to control its destiny." Pretty powerful, right?
It is. It shows how much they value their own AI expertise.
Yeah,
But what's OpenAI up to now? Are they scaling back their robotics efforts?
Not at all. In fact, they're expanding their robotics division and have filed trademarks for autonomous systems. They're definitely not slowing down.
It's like a game of chess. Everyone's making their moves, trying to stay ahead. Now, before we move on, I wanted to touch on one more story. Oracle, the software giant, is making a move into the HR world with AI.
It's a great example of how AI is transforming businesses. They've launched these AI agents that work seamlessly with their Fusion Cloud HCM platform, automating a bunch of HR tasks.
So what can these AI HR agents do? Are they replacing human HR professionals entirely?
No, it's not about replacing. It's about augmenting and streamlining. Onboarding new employees, managing tax withholding, performance reviews, even career coaching, these agents can do it all. And they use generative AI to analyze data and make personalized recommendations.
Sounds pretty efficient. Are there companies already using this?
Early adopters have reported a 40% reduction in their administrative workload. That's a lot of time freed up for HR teams to focus on strategy and bigger picture stuff.
Wow, that's impressive. And it fits right in with the whole AI trend in business, right?
Right.
Especially in the HR tech sector, which is a growing segment of the $35.5 billion AI in marketing market. So AI is changing how we work and how we manage careers. It's a lot to take in.
It is. Chris Leone, an executive at Oracle, had a great way of putting it. He said, "These agents don't replace HR. They let HR replace monotony with strategy."
I love that. It really captures the potential of AI to make our work lives better.
Totally. Now, last but not least, we have to talk about this legal battle that's brewing between the New York Times and OpenAI. It's about copyright, and it's a big one.
Yeah, I've been following this. The New York Times is suing OpenAI and Microsoft, right? What's the main issue?
Basically, the Times alleges that OpenAI and Microsoft used their content without permission to train their AI models. And this lawsuit's not cheap. It cost the Times $10.8 million just last year in legal fees.
Wow. But haven't other publishers like Axel Springer made deals with AI companies to license their content for training?
They have. But the New York Times is taking a different approach. They're fighting this in court, arguing that this goes beyond fair use. They see it as a matter of principle, protecting human creativity.
It's a tricky issue. This case could set a precedent for how AI interacts with all sorts of creative works.
Right. And it raises questions about who owns the rights to creative output when AI is involved. Is it the original human creator, the
Right.
AI that repurposes it? It's a big legal and philosophical mess, honestly.
It's definitely a complex landscape.
Mhm.
And as AI gets even more sophisticated, it's only going to get more complicated.
No doubt about it. This is just the beginning of a much larger conversation about AI, creativity, and the law.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, that's for sure. So what are your main takeaways from all this AI news? What's standing out to you?
Honestly, what strikes me most is how wide-ranging AI's impact is. We're seeing it in everything from military strategy to financial markets to the nature of truth and creativity itself. AI isn't something in the distant future anymore. It's shaping our world right now.
And it's moving at an incredible pace, which is exciting, but also a little bit scary.
It is, and that's why these conversations about the implications of AI are so crucial. We need to be having them now, thinking about the ethical guidelines, the regulations, the kind of future we want to build with AI.
Absolutely. We can't just stand by and watch it happen. We have to be active participants in shaping this future. It's mind-boggling how fast things are moving. And speaking of speed, did you catch that story about automatic speech recognition catching up to humans?
ASR, oh yeah, that's been a big one for a while, hasn't it? Trying to get those systems to accurately transcribe what we're saying, especially when there's a bunch of noise, people talking over each other, you name it.
Exactly. And for the longest time, it's been, well, a bit of a struggle for AI. But this new study shows that some ASR systems are now hitting human-level accuracy, even with all that noise.
Seriously, that's huge. I mean, I remember when you practically had to enunciate every syllable for those things to even get close.
Right. But now it seems like they're actually getting good. This study looked at two systems, Meta's Wave 2.0 and OpenAI's Whisper. And you want to hear the crazy part. OpenAI's Whisper actually did better than humans in most of those noisy conditions.
Wow. So AI is officially better at understanding us than we are. That's kind of freaky and awesome at the same time.
It is pretty wild. But before we hand over the speech recognition crown to AI, there's a catch.
There's always a catch, isn't there?
Always. So the study found that while these ASR systems are super accurate, they need a ton of data to get there. Humans, though, We learn to understand speech way faster, with way less exposure.
So we humans still have the edge in the learning department. It makes you wonder if there are other differences too, like in the types of errors we make.
You're on the right track. Turns out, there are. Humans, we tend to make grammatically correct sentences even if we miss a word or two, especially when it's noisy. But ASR systems, they're more likely to give you grammatically correct sentences with the wrong information.
So it's like a trade-off. Humans might miss some details, but the overall structure is there. AI, on the other hand, gets the details, but messes up the grammar sometimes. It's funny how that works, isn't it?
It is. It's like we each have our strengths. Speaking of strengths, have you heard about this new AI model from OpenAI? It's called O3 Mini, and it's making some serious noise in the world of reasoning.
O3 Mini. Yeah, I've been keeping my eye on that one. It's designed for those higher-level reasoning tasks, the kind that are essential for more sophisticated AI applications, and it's already blowing past expectations.
So this little model is kind of a big deal.
It is. In fact, in a bunch of different tests, O3 Mini outperformed DeepSeek's R1 model, which was previously the model for AI reasoning.
Wow, so this is like the next level of AI smarts.
Yeah.
What kind of tests was it acing?
Oh, you name it. Physics simulations, code generation, even analyzing those super complex scientific papers from Archivac. It can build those intricate Minecraft worlds, create dynamic shaders, even design game logic. And get this, it's doing it all with 98% accuracy.
That's insane. It sounds incredibly versatile.
It is. Plus, it's cheaper to run than the older models, and it can even correct its own errors. No human handholding required.
That's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, what does all this mean for the AI race, though, specifically between the US and China? Is O3 Mini giving the US a boost?
It's definitely adding fuel to the fire. Sinotech, which is a big news outlet in China, they called O3 Mini a paradigm shift. They even said it can think like an engineer.
Whoa. That's high praise, especially coming from China.
It is. It shows just how significant this development is and how closely everyone's watching. This isn't just about tech anymore, you know? It's about who's leading the charge in AI.
It's fascinating how technology can have such a ripple effect on global dynamics, isn't it?
It really is. Speaking of shaking things up, did you see that Figure AI, the company behind that humanoid robot Figure O2? Well, they've decided to go their own way.
They split from OpenAI, right? I was surprised to hear that. Why would they walk away from such a powerful partnership? OpenAI's reputation in AI is, well, huge.
It was a bold move, for sure. But Figure AI feels strongly about controlling their destiny. They want to own the brain of their robots, literally. One of their spokespeople actually said, you can't outsource the brain of a robot if you want to control its destiny.
That's a powerful statement. It's like they're saying they don't just want to build robots, they want to build the intelligence that drives them.
Exactly. They want to be the masters of their own AI destiny, and it makes sense. The humanoid robotics market, that's a $38 billion market.
So everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And Figure AI is betting on their own AI expertise to give them that edge. But what about OpenAI? Are they just letting Figure AI walk away?
Not a chance. OpenAI is expanding their robotics division and have filed trademarks for autonomous systems. They're not giving up any ground.
It's like a constant back and forth, isn't it? Everyone's trying to outmaneuver each other, stay one step ahead.
That's the nature of the game. But hey, not all the news is about competition and one-upmanship. Oracle, for example, they're using AI to revolutionize HR, of all things.
That's right. They've got those AI agents that are designed to handle all sorts of HR tasks. So, are human HR professionals about to be replaced by robots?
Hold on, not so fast. It's not about replacing humans entirely. It's more about giving them a helping hand, making them more efficient. Onboarding new employees, managing tax stuff, performance reviews, even career coaching. These AI agents can tackle all those things.
Sounds pretty helpful. And they're using generative AI to analyze all that data too, right? To come up with those personalized recommendations.
Exactly. Early adopters are raving about it, saying they've seen a 40% drop in their administrative workload.
That's huge. Imagine having 40% more time to focus on strategy and big picture thinking.
Right. It's a game changer. And it's part of this larger trend we're seeing. AI transforming the workplace, how we manage careers, the whole 9 yards.
It's mind-blowing. And Chris Leone, an executive at Oracle, he put it perfectly. He said, these agents don't replace HR. They let HR replace monotony with strategy.
I love that. It captures the essence of what AI can do. Free us from those mundane tasks so we can focus on the stuff that really matters.
Couldn't have said it better myself. But, hey, before we get too carried away with all the positive AI vibes, we have to talk about this legal battle between the New York Times and OpenAI. Copyright issues, big implications. This one's a doozy.
This is definitely a case to watch. The New York Times is suing OpenAI and Microsoft, alleging they use their content without permission to train those AI models. And this is serious business. They've already spent $10.8 million in legal fees.
Wow, that's a lot of money to fight for what they believe in. But haven't some other publishers, like Axel Springer, decided to make deals with those AI companies, like licensing agreements to use their content?
They have. But the Times is going a different route. They're fighting this in court, arguing that this is about more than just fair use. They see it as an ethical issue, protecting the very core of human creativity.
It's a fascinating case, and it could set a precedent for how AI interacts with all kinds of creative works. Books, music, art, you name it.
Right. It raises these fundamental questions about ownership in the age of AI. Who owns the rights to what when AI is involved? Is it the original human creator, the AI that repurposes it? It's a legal and philosophical gray area, to say the least.
It's a bit of a minefield, honestly. And as AI gets more advanced and can create things that look and feel more human-made, these questions are only going to get trickier.
Absolutely. It's something we're all going to have to grapple with sooner rather than later.
So all in all, it's been a pretty intense day for AI news. We've got everything from major advancements to ethical dilemmas to legal showdowns. What's standing out to you as the biggest takeaway from all of this? What's got you thinking?
What really hits home for me is just how pervasive AI is becoming. It's not just some futuristic concept anymore. It's woven into the fabric of our lives.
It's shaping how we work, how we consume information, how we think about the world, everything.
It's true, and it's moving at such a breakneck speed that it's hard to keep up.
Exactly. And that's why it's more important than ever to have these conversations about the implications of AI, the ethical guidelines, the regulations we need to figure this stuff out now before it's too late.
I couldn't agree more. We can't just stand on the sidelines and let AI happen to us. We have to be active participants, shaping its development, making sure it's used for good.
It's pretty clear that February 6th, 2025 will be remembered as a pivotal day in the world of AI.
It's true. We've seen everything from groundbreaking advancements to ethical quandaries to major legal battles, all in the span of a single news cycle.
It's a lot to process. So looking back at all the news we've covered, what would you say is the most significant takeaway?
For me, it's the sheer speed and scale at which AI is transforming our world. We're not talking about small incremental changes anymore. We're witnessing fundamental shifts across every sector of society. It's both exhilarating and, to be honest, a bit daunting.
I agree. It feels like we're at a crossroads. We have this incredibly powerful technology with the potential to reshape our world for the better. But we also have to be mindful of the risks, the unintended consequences.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial that we're having these conversations now. We can't wait until it's too late. We need to be proactive in establishing the ethical guidelines, the regulations, the frameworks that will ensure AI is developed and used responsibly.
It's a tall order, but it's one we can't afford to ignore. The future of AI, and arguably the future of humanity, depends on our ability to navigate these complexities wisely.
We need to approach this with a balanced perspective. Acknowledge the incredible potential of AI to improve our lives while also being acutely aware of the potential pitfalls. It's a delicate dance, for sure.
It is. But I'm optimistic. We humans are pretty good at figuring things out, especially when we work together. We created this technology after all, so we have the power to shape its trajectory.
Well said. It's important to remember that AI is not some external force acting upon us. It's a product of human ingenuity. It's a tool that we can use to build the future we want.
So, to our listeners, as we conclude this deep dive into the world of AI, we want to leave you with a call to action. What can each of us do to ensure that AI is used for good?
Stay informed. That's the most important thing. Read about AI, explore its capabilities and limitations, engage in conversations about its ethical and societal implications. The more we understand about this technology, the better equipped we'll be to shape its future.
And don't be afraid to ask those tough questions. Challenge assumptions, demand transparency, and hold those who are developing and deploying AI accountable for its impact on our world. Remember, the future of AI is not set in stone. It's being written right now. And each of us has a role to play in shaping that future.
It's an exciting time to be alive and a critical time to be engaged in these conversations. The choices we make today will have a ripple effect for generations to come.
So let's make those choices wisely. Let's work together to create a future where AI is a force for good, a tool that empowers us to build a more just, equitable, and sustainable world for all. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those conversations going. The future is in our hands.